So what's the number one thing you should do if you're writing a story, a movie, a play, anything, before any world building, before any plot development? What is the first thing you should concern yourself with as a writer? You have to get your audience on the side of your main character. Do you think anybody cares about the appearance of the surroundings or the rules of your world or the politics at play in a story that hasn't answered the question, why should I care? No. The truth is, if an audience doesn't have a reason to care, they won't care. And an even harsher truth is, even if you give them a reason to care, there is still only a small chance that they will get on board and actually care, which is what brings us here today. So, what is the most common way that writers use to get the audience on board and on the side of the main character? Well, it's usually to show the character experiencing some form of injustice. You can see this in tons of movies and tons of books. Spider-Man, Superman, Star Wars, Shawshank Redemption, Harry Potter, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It is a proven method. Show your character in situations where the audience can say, oh yeah, I hate when that happens, or oh yeah, you're right, that would suck. Then at least you have some form of relatability between the audience and the characters you've created. At least then, when you go to paint the rest of the picture, your audience has a sense of, all right, buddy, we're in this together. The problem is, and you will hear me say this over and over again, the devil is in the details. And one mistake that I have seen writers make is they confuse outlining a sob story with developing sympathy for the character, and they are not the same thing. First things first, you have to understand and accept some fundamental rules about stories and their audiences. Story is there for the benefit of the audience. I don't care what genre we're talking about. If I'm the reader, it's not my job to uplift the character. Oh, it's not so bad. All you have to realize is No, you show me why it's not so bad. You show me why there's strength and beauty in this struggle. You take me on the journey. This isn't meant to be the author laying on a couch and sort of trauma dumping while the audience sits and nods like they care. There is a reason why people who do that are paid to do that. How you tell your story makes all the difference in the world. So there are some tricks to selling sympathy, and the first thing you have to know is nobody really likes a victim. Even if the person is literally a victim, there is a difference between being a physical victim and a mental victim. And if they act like a victim, it is very hard to drum up any kind of respect for the character. It's a little bit harsh, but that's just how it is. If your character is passive and isn't doing anything to fix their situation, then you run into a situation where the audience has a sense of, well, if you don't care, why should I? In fact, that sentence, why should I, is not even quite true, because that part where it says, why should I, hints that the reader is at least still open to learning why they should care. In reality, readers are a lot more cutthroat. Nobody is going to read 300 plus pages of a story that they don't have any interest in. So, if you are going to take the path of showing an injustice to sort of gain the sympathies of the audience, then that injustice has to serve a purpose. It cannot be injustice for the sake of injustice. That's called whining. Take the book Harry Potter. Right off the bat, it's not Harry that we're learning about. It's his aunt and uncle and cousin, and how mean they are and how cruel they are, how they don't like him. But at no point was any of that presented in a way that Harry was fishing for pity. All of those examples of unfairness and neglect were all in service of the message, this kid is not spoiled. This kid is the least entitled kid in England. This kid has a justified disdain for cruelty. Injustice itself is not enough to make a character likable. It has to have a purpose behind it. Why? Because it's you and a billion other people. Oh, you had a bad day? So? You and a billion other people. So? And the answer to so is your story. So, I made sure that never happened again. So, the next time I saw the same thing happen to someone else, I stepped in. So, I locked him in the basement with a rabid dog. Your so could go any number of directions, but for God's sake, let there be an answer to the question, so? Why should we care? Because injustice without revealing any deeper character, injustice without any reaction, whether it's internal or external, injustice that drains energy instead of developing like emotional momentum is just a pity party, and pity parties do not sell books. Anywho, that's my take on the subject. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.